Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Empowered Women Glow. And today it is my pleasure to introduce Miss Ariel Bacon Richard. She is an author, a speaker, a therapist, and a self care expert. Welcome, Mrs. Richardson. I'm sorry.
Well, thank you. Thank you for having me on. I'm excited to speak with you today.
Thank you. Um, Tell us a little bit about yourself and your journey.
Yes, definitely. So I am in California. I'm from California, and I am a therapist. I started out as a therapist. Now I kind of help build mental health programs. I also
Mm.
have a small private practice where I work with women and children and families, mostly women though. And helping them, on their own self care journeys and wellness and mental health, right? So I focus mostly on that. Kind of throughout my journey, I became a mom. So I kind of was in my career first. And then I became a mom, and I'm a mom of two. I'm a wife and a mom of two, and two little girls, actually. And it's interesting because I think I had pretty good self-care and overall wellness up until that point. And then I had children, and that kind of went away for those, first early years here and there, off and on. And I learned pretty quickly, I needed to really make sure I was intentional about focusing on that journey and practicing what I preached to the women and the, families that I worked with as well. And so that kind of started, I believe I would say it started this book's journey. um,
Okay.
I think I had my own journey off and on, but it started me, making sure I was intentional about my own journey as well in terms of my, self care. But my career journey has, started prior to me becoming a mom. And so I just always had a passion to work with others and help them. And the book that we're going to be talking about today, and just in general the work that I do, that kind of has always just been in me, and wanting to
Mm.
help others, and have grown to want to help women. A lot of women come to me in my practice, whether it's for therapy or for life coaching. And I integrate wellness, into mental health as well, regardless of what, kind of interventions I'm doing in terms of therapy. I always integrate wellness and self care and holistic practices.
Wow. Okay, that is interesting because most people don't think about the wellness part when they're.
Mhm.
Um, so I do have a few questions here from your book
Mhm.
that I wanted to ask you about. Um, Battling negative thoughts on self care and asking for help. And
Mm.
then you also have don't let them see you sweat. You don't need
Mm.
anyone but yourself. And it made
Mhm.
me want to ask the question because growing up, I've always heard, don't let them see you sweat.
Yeah.
And you're saying battling the negative thoughts on self care and asking for help. Could you go a little bit deeper into that, please?
Yes, yes. That, like you said, that came from growing up, from hearing those words, this idea of trying to be, always be strong, and no one can ever see you sweat. Otherwise, they think weakness. If you ask for
Yes.
help, that's a sign of weakness. So that was, the things that I heard growing up. Those were the things that, while I was working with individuals, I heard them say, but I also saw them struggle deeply, right? And I saw
Mm.
um, families. And when you're in a situation where you're someone's therapist, it's an honor, right? Because they
Yes.
are vulnerable. They're vulnerable, and so I do get to see the other side of it. And I was seeing that idea that was being passed down. Was actually unhealthy, and it was actually not allowing people to get the help they need. And I get to see the vulnerable pieces, so I get to see the parts where there is some suffering behind it, like I said. And so and the struggle kind of with that idea. And so, I've worked with a lot of individuals on dismantling that, and also looking at how to safely ask for help, right? Like, who can we go to?
Mm,
Who can we be vulnerable with? And how can we build that trust within certain people? And how do we know that it's okay for us to kind of take our capes off, and we don't have to do everything, because our own mental health is being impacted. And then it's impossible for us to truly do the things that we want to do well, or to thrive. Like, a lot of times we are okay with just surviving. But it's also okay, especially as Black people, to thrive now,
yes.
right? And
Yes.
I like to say, like, at this point in time, we actually are very privileged to be able to have this information, this knowledge, and to not have to be in a situation where we people can't see us sweat, because it's going to be life threatening, right? And so I think, to honor that, it's important for us to kind of begin to drop that, and to really look at what are some healthy and safe ways that we can, let our guards down, and allow ourselves to ask for help. And specifically, it's interesting because in work settings, I myself had to learn this, because
Oh,
I found myself in situations where I was the only, so, right, the first and only, sometimes the first and only Black female manager in a room full of males and people not of color. And so, it made me kind of take on that right idea of, like, nope, like, keep going, do everything, show that you can do everything without support and help. Don't falter, those kinds of things. And then I realized, well, I wasn't getting the support that I needed. So if I could show I could
mm,
do everything, and I needed another, so I was building the mental health program, and I needed another supervisors to manage, to help me manage some of the therapists and other interns that we were bringing on. But if I can show that I can do everything, then why would they give me any help? Right?
that
Like, no
makes
one.
sense.
Yeah, and so I said, you do have to show that there is a need, and the only way to show that there is a need is to not be the strongest one always in the room. So
Yeah.
it's interesting, but I preach it, I live it, and so and it does take, a shift in mindset.
Yes, it does. That was like an eye opener for me because as women, we wear so many hats. The cook, the wife, the maid, the driver, the cheerleader. And
Yeah.
then you say, well, okay, who can I come to let off some steam or to vent
Mhm.
just a little bit? And you don't have anyone to do that. And it just keeps that build up until
Yeah.
you just break. So I thought that
Yeah.
was really, really interesting to talk about.
And
Um,
then people won't help or support you, and because they don't see that you need the help. You're taking care of everything. So what do I need to lend a hand for, right?
um, and there are a couple more. Um, this one is creating a personalized self care list and toolkit.
Mm,
The toolkit was interesting because as women, when you think of a toolkit, you're thinking of like a belt with some tools in it. But this toolkit list, I was like, yes, yes. Some of these I have, some of these I need to get.
okay.
Um, what made you come up with the toolkit, the list for the toolkit?
Yes. So the reason I came up with the toolkit is because, like you said, I think a lot of times, women aren't thinking about putting these things together for themselves. Individuals don't, we always say we don't have time, and we don't,
That's a
right?
good
And
one.
we don't have time. And so, the toolkit is to help reduce that issue of making sure you take care of yourself. So if you have
Mm,
it put together already, then you're not using time to search for it and figure out what you need to do. And, so you already kind of have that available to you. And so I actually have my clients put together little toolkits and find a space. So it's kind of a two-part thing where you put together the toolkit and you find your space where you're going to like place it or have it so that you can create wellness wherever you are. And that could be, you could put a toolkit together. I have one like in when I have my office, I have one there. And then I have one in my home. So you can have it in
Mm.
different spaces. I know some of my clients are really creative and they have little things in their car. And I'm just like, okay, right? Like do what you need to do. Whether it's like little essential oils to like on for a second, or like something, stress ball in their car when you're having that traffic. So people are very
Yes.
creative. And you can have that bit of, a moment of calm, a moment of wellness, a moment of peace, a brain break, any of those things. In my office, I have like my yoga mat, my meditation pillow. I have the diffuser, like little things like that. And then like a little plant. So anything that for you connects you to your inner peace, your inner calm, with me quick, like you said, toolkit to have that somewhere for you. So that's kind of it really was just an idea put together because it seemed like essential in order to help people make sure that they don't have excuses. No
Okay,
excuse.
okay. And I really, really, the don't should all over yourself.
Yes.
What, yes, please. Could you tell us a little bit more about that?
Yes, yes, yes. I first heard about that when I was taking some mindfulness and meditation classes. So I went through like my own series of mindfulness and meditations and practices so that I can then, increase my practice with others. And that was huge for me. I was taking it during the time when I had my firstborn, and oh gosh, I think she wasn't even a year. And I committed to this like 6-month program where I had to be away from her for like, I think it was 3 hours. It was 3 hours a month, once a month for 6 months. And it was like a blessing in disguise because I needed that time, because I was so just entangled into like being a new mom and wanting, and the should police are out there when you are a new mom. It's like you were getting it from everywhere, like the books, other moms, your parent, like you're, in like anybody. They're just like, you should do this, you should do this, you should be doing this, you should
Mm, mm.
right. So I think when I first heard that, it was like a light bulb went off for me. Like, no, right? Like, I should not have to do like everything. And there's no way, and it's impossible to do all of the shoulds, right? And so and I was figuring out my inner voice a lot was what I call shoulding on myself. Like, I should do this and you should do that and you should be doing this, right? And why aren't you doing that? So the negative thoughts and the negative voice, became stronger. And so I learned to, one, I learned the fact that really, a lot of times our shoulds are other people's, they're not ours. And we have to quiet other people's voices down and listen within. And then I also learned it's not helpful. Right. So, being more positive, giving myself more grace,
Yes.
um, being more mindful in the moments, like those are the things that helped me really figure out like what were the things that I needed to do or the things I wanted to do, not what I should be doing based on other people's thoughts, ideas, and standards. And so, and even my own, right? Like, was I giving myself grace? Giving yourself grace allows you not to should on yourself, because there are moments where it's just, I can't do this right now, and that's okay. Right. And so, I love that message. And I talk to people about that all the time, because we have this little negative inner voice that we
Mhm.
have to quiet down, because if it was someone else, right, we would have more compassion for them a lot of times, and we would say, oh, it's okay, or no, don't worry about that right now, and all of those things. And so I learned to kind of have self-compassion during that time as well, and it just made me a happier person, a better mom, a better therapist. And when I work with others to implement that as well, then I notice a huge difference in how they are and how they speak to themselves.
Mm, that is very interesting because how you speak to yourself is what you bring out into the world as well.
Mhm. Yes. Yeah.
Um, do you have what are your top three books or music that you listen to when you're having a busy week and you want to de-stress? What do you listen to or do?
Ooh, that's a good question. I'm like, what do I listen to or do? So I definitely I picked up running recently. So
Mm,
I just ran well, not picked up, picked it back up, I should say. So I did a half marathon when my second after my second born a few years back now. And then I kind of dropped running for a while, but I just did another half marathon this past November. So yeah, it was
congratulations.
my second one. So I was excited. I think really the pandemic, made me stop running, which is I just lost it. So I was excited. So kind of running and listening to a variety of music. I still like old school R&B and stuff like that. So yeah, I'm not into too much of the new music anymore, but just like old school R&B and hip hop and all of that, I kind of will listen to and then here and there some Yolanda Adams and different things like that. So it just
Mm,
depends on what I need, I guess, when I'm running. But that's kind of one of the de-stressors.
nice.
Also yoga and meditation, and I use the different apps, but the Calm app is a good one when I need just like a quick meditation. And then the third thing, what am I reading? So I am reading a bunch of different things, but at the same time. So I like there's this series, uh, Children of Blood and Bone is one of
Oh,
the books. I don't know if you heard of it, but it's a young African American female author. Her name is I'm gonna mess up her name. Tomi Adeyemi, I think it is, but she has a 3-book series. I'm waiting for the third book. So those are my favorite books right now. And then I will read different self-help books.
mm,
And then for fun, I just started reading the series Black Girls Must Die Exhausted. I don't know if you've heard of that one, but
black girl.
that one's pretty interesting. It's good. A lot of while I'm reading, I'm like, oh, a lot of issues with self-care here, lady. Because we should not die exhausted.
You said black girls must die. And what was children?
Oh, Children of Blood and Bone. It's like,
Thank you.
yeah, I always tell people it's like Wakanda meets Harry Potter. So it's like magic and all
Oh,
black. Yeah, it's pretty cool.
yes. Um, how long have you been a therapist, and has that always been your? No, you did say it was has always been a part of your passion. Um, besides being a therapist, as growing up as a child, what was your aspirations or dreams? Was it to be a dancer, an actress?
Yeah, that's a good question. So I only really remember wanting to be a teacher when I was younger.
Ooh,
And I had a little brother, and my parents always tell me that I taught him how to read. I don't remember that, but
really?
yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
that's so sweet. So you have a gift of yeah, that's a gift.
Yeah, I always just wanted to help people in some way, but yeah, I don't remember like all of the like little cute little things that people, want to be. I don't remember having that. I remember thinking, "Oh, I might be a teacher" when I was like really younger. I was, a kid. But then when I got to middle school, I actually wanted to like volunteer and help people and do different things like
Mm,
that. I don't really know where that came from. I think I would see, homeless people on the street and just different things and just have like a lot of compassion and just want to do something. I remember I used to say I was going to open a homeless shelter or open a community center for kids. And I was a kid, so it was just, that's what I thought I would do. And then when I was in middle school, I didn't really yet know, like, oh, how do you do those things, right? And I had a career day, and I met a Black social worker at career day. And I remember just thinking, oh, that's so cool. I think she was a social worker and a school counselor. And I was like, oh, I want to do that. I want to help people. And just from there, it just grew. And when I was in high school, I volunteered at a domestic violence shelter. And
Mm.
I did a couple of classes for child development to work with children. And, so it just kind of grew from there. And then I, got my degree in psychology. And then I went on to get my master's in clinical social work to do therapy. And yeah, it kind of, I was always kind of on this little path. And then the most interesting thing about all of that, my mom had me pretty young. My mom and dad got married. They were high school sweethearts. And they had three. She was what, 23 with three kids. We were all a year and a half apart, just too young. And but and then she worked for the phone company and retired there. And I didn't know this because when I was looking at what, college I wanted to go to and what career choice, my mom was really pushing me to do accounting and get into math
Mm.
because I was good at math. And I think, she thought, oh, that's where the
Baby
money
girl.
is. Like,
That's baby girl. Yeah.
right. And so I was like, no, I really want to help people. Like, this isn't feeling right. And in hindsight, I'm so happy because I can't imagine being an accountant now. But and not doing what I do. But and that's part of, right. Sorry, in my book, like, you have to listen to your own voice and not what others want for you, right? Honor yourself too. But so anyway, I didn't go that route. And a couple of years ago, recently, my mom told me that when she dropped out of college, she was going to be a social worker and she wanted to do what I do. And I was like, what? How amazing is that? Like, I didn't even know this. And so it was very interesting to me to see that ended up being my career path.
That was a blessing that you followed your heart because you knew what path you needed to take for yourself.
Yeah.
And your mom, that was what she wanted to be. So you kind of like accomplished a dream for her as well.
Yeah. Yeah.
So sweet. How old were you when you started teaching your brother how to read?
I don't remember. They just tell me that I did that when we were really young. I was maybe like 7 or 8 or something.
Okay, okay. So
Yeah,
you was
pretty
in
young.
school and he,
Yeah,
wow.
yeah, because he was only a year and a half, young. I'm only a year and a half from each of my brothers. I was a middle girl, and I have one older and one younger. So I wasn't much older than him in teaching him how to read.
This book right here, ladies and gentlemen, if you would like to get this for your wife, Valentine's is coming up. You know, this right here is a good read. At the end of this amazing book, she has a section for children. She has a section to understand yourself even better by monthly, weekly, and yearly goals and how to just break it down so that you can understand and let it resonate with you like it did with me. I would love to have you back sometime to dig even deeper and more into this book. It is called The Power in Choosing You. And as young women, I'm talking from an old soul, as young women, you need to have, as she said, permission and give yourself grace to not hold yourself back from your dreams. It's okay to take advice, but know that your mistakes and your wisdom is going to come only from you. And you're able to pass that on to somebody else, like Miss Ariel did. And I so do thank you for this book um, that you published. It is a gift to the world. It really, really is. Could you
Oh,
let the viewers know um, your electronic press kit and how they can reach you, as well as, and I will also be putting your email address and everything in the description.
yes, thank you. Yes, so you can reach me on, so I'm on a few different things. So Instagram under Your Happy Living Solutions. And then my website is yourhappylivingsolutions.com. And also, uh, I am on a podcast with my husband. He does all of the marketing for that. But it's We Need to Talk Cast. I believe it's if
Okay.
you're looking for it. And yeah, those are the Instagram, and I am starting a TikTok for the book. So it'll be the power in choosing you will be what the TikTok is. So I'm learning TikTok and putting some things out there. So if you want to follow the book and different things about it and self-care, then that'll be something to follow as well.
Yes, yes. Thank you, Miss Ariel. It was a very pleasure speaking with you.
You
Um,
too. Thank you.
and God bless you and continue to bless you in your journey and your family. And I hope that you guys have a wonderful and blessed new year.
Yes, you
Thank you.
too.
Um, this has been another wonderful and blessed episode of Entrepreneur Empire, Empowered Women Glow. Thank you until next episode. As always, be bold, be beautiful, and be blessed. Thank you for watching.